Dunkin' is putting a whole new spin on pumpkin at Dunkin' with our new Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew. Smooth, bold cold brew topped with velvety pumpkin cream cold foam made with cinnamon and nutmeg spices. And there's more pumpkin for you to love, like the delicious fall classic, our Pumpkin Spice Signature Latte. Rich espresso topped with whipped cream, caramel drizzle, and cinnamon sugar. That's how we pumpkin at Dunkin'. Sip into the fall season with the $3 medium Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew or Pumpkin Spice Signature Latte. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply. Valid on Pumpkin Spice Signature Latte only and all cold foam cold brew.
Hello and welcome to the Gridiron Show. Happy return of the NFL day. It's the first day proper of the new season. I know the first day of the season is sometime back in May or something, but this is the first day of the season proper. We have actual football. 44-year-old Tom Brady playing his 75th game since turning 40. Yes, I did the maths on it. Going up against the Dallas Cowboys tonight in the season opener. And so we are back, and we are back with a bang, because not only do we have myself, Will Gavin, Will G, we also have Mr. Will B with us as well, rocking a Super Bowl hoodie today.
I am rocking the hoodie today, but I also rock the glasses in honor of you.
Oh, but still my beating heart, Will Blackman.
You can't have Will G and Will B and not have matching shades.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to start coordinating these outfits, mate, because you're in a hoodie, sat in your hotel room in London, looking all, somehow you look more suave than me, despite the fact that I bothered to, get really dressed up for the occasion.
Well, you do. You're a blazer guy. That's just your thing, Actually, I did bring some blazers, so next episode, be on the lookout.
Love it. Love it. Will is out here in the UK, ready to do some TV, ready to do some media out here. Still quarantining at the moment, but I hope we'll be able to get together.
I'm smashing these COVID tests, by the way. Absolutely lighting these guys up. They keep swabbing my nose and my throat, and they are not finding any evidence of viruses, okay? So they can keep trying. I'm just going to sit here and knock back these beers and just pass these COVID tests, so it's all good. But yeah, I'm here. I'm in town. You'll see me on Sky Sports this weekend. So talking about the upcoming season like I am now.
Are you getting competitive about COVID tests? Is that how much of a sport?
It became that because I was passing them fine. And then, there's a whole kind of protocol things where I understand. Yes, I'm a foreigner in this case. And they want to say, hey, what do you got? I'm like, hey, keep bringing them. I actually ordered more tests. I was supposed to only order 3. I ordered 6 just to be a little arrogant. Okay. I was like, here's another one, measure that.
It's one of the least enjoyable experiences that you can have on your own. I can't believe you keep doing it. We are also joined for this show as well by the editor of Gridiron Magazine ahead of the new season. Liam Blackburn is with us as well. Liam, have you been banging out COVID tests left, right, and centre, or is that just a Will Blackburn
Do you know what?
thing?
I absolutely hate them. It's like having a child when it's getting done. I'm like screaming. God knows what my neighbours think is going on kind of every time I have one, but I despise them. I do not want to do any additional tests. So you can keep those additional tests, Will. Not for me.
I do actually have 3 more sitting over here on my desk, just in case.
Are you going to do one live? Are we going to get to watch? Do you know what? It's not safe for work.
That's a good idea. I might go on Instagram Live and swab my nose. However, the only issue is I have to wait for my results. It's not instant. So
let's talk about the new season. We're going to skip over tonight a little bit because some people won't listen to this till Friday, till Saturday, to looking ahead to the weekend. But we're going to pick out some of the things we're looking forward to most this season. A dark horse team, someone who think maybe could struggle more than people think, a couple of breakout candidates, and of course we will be making our Super Bowl picks, because there's nothing people enjoy more than looking back on how stupid we were back earlier in the year. We're going to be doing this on a weekly basis. We're getting some great guests on. We spoke with DeForest Buckner this past week. Are we putting any DeForest Buckner in the podcast? We're putting that out separately. I'm getting a nod from Liam. So we're getting DeForest Buckner on this show. Is that
we're going to get? I haven't told Harry yet, but there's a bit of it going in yet.
Great. Producer Harry.
He knows now.
I had a great chat with DeForest, actually. And obviously it hurts me as a 49ers fan to look at that team and get, excited about what they've got on defense. But he was an absolute gent. He spoke brilliantly. I'm really hyped for what they're going to be able to achieve on that side of the ball. I even told him at the end, I'm kind of rooting for him this year, except when he goes up against the 49ers, because they have got the NFC West this season. In fact, that kind of leads us on a little bit. I was going to go into maybe a bit of a dark horse team, but let's just start off with top line, what we're looking forward to most this season. What has got you on what is basically Christmas Eve right now, getting absolutely jumping through hoops, excited to see over this next year? I'm going to come to you first on this, Will.
Listen, okay. Soon as I saw the transaction, I lost my cool.
Is this Cristiano Ronaldo again?
No, but it is another aging superstar. I was so excited, guys. I think I took another COVID test. It was Matt Stafford going to the Rams. That is beyond excitement for me. I played against Matt Stafford when he was in Detroit and I was in Green Bay. And when I was watching, and just watching him from afar, or just going up against him, you're like, goodness, like this dude is legit. Like there's nothing he can't do. His arm is unreal. He can put the football wherever he wants. He's the ultimate gamer. He's super competitive, and he's tough to game plan. The problem was his team. You know, the organization. They just couldn't get it done. I mean, you got two Hall of Famers that retired prematurely because of the organization. But I feel like Matt Stafford going to the Rams is not only gonna help him in his career, but it's exactly what the Rams need. I feel like they're still a Super Bowl contender. And I think what happened was with Jared Goff, perhaps the jury was out. You know, I think everyone found out, like, look, we're not scared of this guy. He's not going to hurt us. But Stafford in the right situation can do damage. I look at that offense, right? The Shanahan style offense, McVay, LaFleur. We saw what Aaron Rodgers did in Green Bay with a new offense with that Shanahan style. You know, one MVP. That's something that I believe Matt Stafford can do. So I'm excited to see what Matt Stafford does on the Rams this year.
I think the thing is people will hail Sean McVay as a genius of his art, it clearly seems like a great players coach. They get on.
You know what it is though. Sean, he works super hard.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing about it is he's not some crazy like wizard or guru. He just works really, really, really hard and finds ways to put his teams in the best situation.
But what I will say about Sean McVay, Liam, is I desperately want to play him at poker because he's not good at hiding his true feelings. And the difference in his behavior towards his quarterback in every press conference, every interview, went out on the field over these past few months, he's like a giddy little schoolchild. Like, honestly, he could not be more happy about the Matt Stafford effect that it's having on the team, about what he's going to be able to scheme for him, about what they're going to be able to achieve. He's not hiding it well. And there is a real potential there with three great wide receivers. It's going to be interesting to see what they can achieve on the defensive side of the ball, losing Brandon Staley, Raheem Morris coming in and taking over defensive coordinator duties, which is so big when you've got basically an offensive coordinator for a head coach. And can the line stay up? You know, Andrew Whitworth is now almost as old as Tom Brady. Like there's a big question marks there. And yet I think, Liam, I might agree with Will.
I think McVay is happy that he finally has a quarterback that he can work with versus teaching. You know, yeah. I think that's the biggest thing he's excited for.
Yeah, totally. It got towards the end of last year, and you know, it was blatantly obvious the writing was on the wall. Goff obviously played that playoff game against Seattle, but even at that point, McVay wasn't particularly pleased about rolling him out there. You know, there was a game against Seattle in the regular season where he was missing. You know, he wasn't picking up plays with his legs, and as you said there, Will, it very much became like a situation where it was he felt like he was coaching Goff every week to do his playbook, whereas now it's almost as if he's got an equal, someone that understands exactly what he wants to do, that can go out there, is a veteran and can execute it. You know, I know they've lost Cam Akers, but I think the running game will be fine. I think they can.
But that was a huge Liam. It was a huge loss. I had Cam Akers. We'll get to that later. He was going to be my breakout player. I had him pinned for like 1,500 yards. I don't know hopefully the run game will be fine, but that was a huge loss. Anyhow, continue. It
is. I just think schematically that they can make things work in that system, and especially with the thing that the passing game is going to open up. You know, you bring in someone like Deshaun Jackson, who's going to immediately give you more space underneath. Cooper Kupp's one of the best receivers in the league. Robert Woods, I think Tyler Higbee possibly has a breakout year this year. And as you mentioned on the side of the ball, well, defensively, you know, they have lost Brandon Staley from that number one unit, but you've still got Aaron Donald, you've still got Jalen Ramsey, you've still got Williams at cornerback. You know, they've not lost any of those pieces there. So a little spoiler looking ahead, but I fancy the Rams to go all the way and go to the Super Bowl, even in that difficult division in the West.
That is tough.
Ahead of yourself. Liam, what are you looking forward to in this new season?
Yeah, it's rookie quarterbacks. As a Jets fan, kind of huge excitement about seeing Zach Wilson. I know you two were on that train after the draft and were excited about what the Jets did, picking up Wilson, then Elijah Vera-Tucker and Elijah Moore in the second round. And the reports of Elijah Moore coming out of training camp have just been that this guy is absolutely special. You know, it looks good in preseason. I've been impressed with everything I've seen and heard from Robert Saleh so far. And then obviously Tony Romo's comments last week about Zach Wilson, comparing him to Mahomes and saying it's not going to be very long before we see him as a top 3, top 5 quarterback in this league. I think as a Jets fan, you're naturally kind of pessimistic about kind of something will go wrong at some point. We've already lost Carl Lawson for the season. You know, these things happen.
Don't think like that, Liam. You cannot.
I'm just ingrained into thinking that down the years. But, you know, I'm just excited to kind of see what that offense does. And then obviously Trevor Lawrence, there's been so much hype coming out around him. I'm kind of curious to see how Urban Meyer fares in the NFL. And obviously Mac Jones are going to have 3 rookies starting week 1, which I think is only the second time since 1970. The last time was 2012 when you had Luck, Griffin, Wilson, Brandon Weeden, remember him, Ryan Tannehill. And then obviously the other 2 as well, Justin Fields and Trey Lance, who we won't see starting week 1, but I can't imagine it's going to be too many weeks. And I imagine you're incredibly excited too, Will, about seeing the Trey in the Bay.
The Trey Lance packages are already in my mind going to just ignite.
Trey Lance is not playing this weekend. Forget about it, Will. All right. This is Jimmy's team. All right.
Until he gets injured.
I think there's packages. I think we're going to see
really
something.
Quick before we get to your excitement, Will, I'm gonna cut you off. Pop quiz for you too.
All right.
Since August 1st, what are the top 5 selling jerseys?
Now, okay, here's one I'm going to throw out like a massively left.
You guys want a hint?
Is Tim Tebow still in the list? Because he was in the list earlier in this offseason. No, but you laugh. Back in July, there was like a thing where Tim Tebow's jersey was selling more than any other jersey.
It's all quarterbacks.
Right. Okay. So
is Mac Jones one? Because I'm thinking that Patriots fans might have got on that bandwagon.
Mac Jones is on the list.
Yes, 1-0.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's on the list.
Mahomes
is on the list.
Oh,
Rodgers.
It's like sudden death.
Rodgers is not on the list.
Trey Lance
is not on the list.
Justin Fields
is on the list.
Come on, 2 all.
We got one more, guys. This is easy.
What have we missed?
This is the number 1 selling jersey in the NFL.
Do we buzz in or do we keep going back and forth?
Guys, Josh Allen.
Wow. Nice. Okay.
Crazy.
So yeah, so in order, it's Josh Allen number 1, Mac Jones number 2.
Mm-hmm. It's because they now know.
Brady 3, Fields 4, Mahomes 5.
All right. So I am excited, and this hurts. This hurts me to say this. I'm excited to watch the New England Patriots.
That's fair.
Yeah, but we've got a Jets fan and we've got myself that has had a long-standing dislike of the New England Patriots, and the fact that if Mac Jones goes on to be a Hall of Fame quarterback after we all got very, very angry about the idea the 49ers might have moved up to take him. Honestly, just with the returning pieces, with the guys that are coming back after opting out last year, particularly in the linebacking core with the quarterback of their defense in Dante Hightower, in Kyle Van Noy, and honestly,
Bill spent so much damn money this offseason.
Yeah, well, exactly. He spent money, and the thing is, I honestly think Matt Judon might be the most Bill Belichick ready player that they've ever brought in like in free agency or a trade. He just feels like he slots right in there. I think they're going to be on an absolute demolition tour of proving people wrong after last year. And if Mac Jones lives up to anything like his preseason was, I think they're going to be really good to watch, even if I'll be bored of it again by about week 4. For week 1, I'm excited.
You won't be bored on October 4th when Tom comes to town. That's the only game I'm looking forward to this year. I don't care about anything else.
That's the only game you're looking forward to this year.
That's it.
Tampa Bay in New England.
Yes.
All right. Well, you're not allowed to watch any more football other than that. Let's talk about dark horse teams for this year. Someone who you think's a little bit off the radar. I've already kind of maybe given mine away. When I said the Colts are a dark horse team, I just don't. There are some people who really don't expect them to do well because of the problems at the quarterback position. I think it just shows how good they are when they're all pro guard and their quarterback that they've brought in, they've lost Phil Rivers, and yet people should still be counting them in with a real good playoff chance. The defense is just so good. Matt Eberflus is just so good. I'm not going to stick on it for too long because I rambled about it a bit earlier, and we're going to hear a little bit later from DeForest Buckner. Maybe I'm just sucking up to DeForest because he was a lovely man. I'm going to have the Colts.
It's a large man.
Exactly. It's not a man you want to fight with. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I want to say they're off the radar.
They're not off the radar. They're just they're just sitting slightly off the edge, waiting to make an impact.
So I like them, but yeah, the injuries definitely made me a huge concern. I had them a lock winning the AFC South, but then gosh, everything just happened. Ty going down, and Carson, he's not 100%. Quentin Nelson is not 100%, but I love the defense. My team, this hurts me to say this big time because I couldn't stand them forever. The Minnesota Vikings. I just feel like they are solid everywhere. Receiver, they're good. Running back, they're good. Quarterback, they're good.
Vaccine numbers, not so good.
They'll be all right. Oh yeah, listen, I got 3 tests right here for Kirk. And then you go to defense. They bring in Patrick Peterson, which was.
I love Patrick Peterson. Is he not past it at this point? Come on, Will, you played the position.
No. Here's the thing. Last year, a big problem was I'm gonna blame his helmet. Okay, he wore the most hideous helmet you can wear, and I think that set him back tremendously. If you look at his previous years, he wore a different helmet. And then I actually complained to his friend on Twitter about it, B-Mac, who went to Florida State and played for the Steelers. And he was like, be on the lookout, Will. Patrick Peterson is going back to his old helmet. And I got excited. So, but they're getting also a veteran presence back there at cornerback. Then they also signed Bashaud Breeland, who, who has a pretty good career. So they have veterans in the backfield. They obviously have, tons of guys around there. Harrison Smith. So I just feel like overall, yes, no one's really talking about them. Obviously, they're in the North with the Packers, but I just feel like they're a solid team all over the place, and they could make some noise, late in the season.
Their defense needs to take a big step up from where it was last year. And it was such a rock solid unit. They were returning the same starters year in, year out for 3-4 years. And maybe that became part of the problem.
Yeah. And the issue was at corner. That's where the issues were. And they go and get 2 veterans who is not so much you're looking for guys to lock down the outsides. You're looking for guys who understand situational football, who are going to be where they're supposed to be, Like they're going to listen to Harrison Smith. They're going to know exactly what he's saying, what to do. Patrick Peterson's a Hall of Fame cornerback. Bashaud Breeland has, he's a Super Bowl champion. He's played on really good teams and has done well for himself. So I think they're going to be fine. I'm excited for them. That's my dark. That's why they're a dark horse. Well, you're not supposed to agree with me.
All right, fair. Yeah, okay.
I didn't say they were the favorites. I said they're a dark horse.
All right, Liam, come on.
Yeah, I'm buying into the Chargers hype. I mean, I feel like you could have replayed this across the past 5 years every time around this time of the year, but I just think there's so much talent on that team. They went 7-9 last year, 7 losses by 1 score. I didn't think they were a bad team last year. I think coaching-wise, they lost a lot of games based on game management, that kind of thing. I think Brandon Staley, I was really impressed with what he did in LA. Okay, he won't have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, but he's got Joey Bosa up front and the back end. Derwin James is back and healthy now. He could have a huge year with that defense. And you look at the offense, and Justin Herbert's season last year almost went under the radar. He came in with about 5 seconds notice playing against the Super Bowl champions. He came in after an off-season in which there was a COVID-affected off-season, so he didn't get any first-team reps. He was absolutely lights out. He shattered a load of rookie records. And I just think that team, they rebuilt the line now, brought Corey Lindsay from the Packers. They've got Rashawn Slater, who they drafted at left tackle. Matt Philo is a good veteran presence they brought in from the Steelers. And I just think that team could really take the next level. Now, you look at kind of guys like Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and the leaps they took in year 2. And I really think that Herbert's going to have a season where he's kind of in the top 3-5 quarterbacks. And even in a division with the Chiefs, I think that might be good enough to put the Chargers in one of those wild card spots at least. And then I think they could make noise in the playoffs too, which is I should also point out the other team I quite like, which not a lot of people are talking about from a defensive perspective, is the Broncos, because I think last year, again, a lot of injuries really hurt. And you look at Vic Fangio, one of the best defensive coordinators and the defensive minds in the league, obviously as a head coach. He now has a backfield which includes Fuller, Satan, who they drafted in the first round, Ronald Darby they brought over, Justin Simmons, who they gave a big contract to in the offseason. They are absolutely loaded. Kareem Jackson on the back end. You get Von Miller back with Bradley Chubb. That could be a top 5 defense. And then on offense, Cortland Sutton's back. I expect Jerry Jeudy to make a bit of a leap forward this year. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is a guy who can win you games. He's not going to light up the stat sheet with that kind of stuff, but I think he's a guy who can win you games. He's got weapons there. And I think the Broncos and Chargers in a really difficult AFC could both get wild cards, to be honest.
Listen, it's a great division. If it stays healthy, it's a great division, which also has the Las Vegas Raiders in it.
That's true. And I should point out that the Chargers, I thought about this yesterday and I was like, I'm going to talk about the Chargers as my dark horse team. Wake up this morning, Twitter notification from Adam Schefter. Austin Eckler didn't practice yesterday because of a hamstring injury. And I thought, here we go. It's already happened 3 days before the season starts. The bad juju is around. Yeah. But for now, I'm buying in.
What about strugglers? Because that's a dark horse that we expect to come up. What about teams that like people are kind of also almost automatically put into the playoffs, whether it's because they are, up against a weak division like any of the NFC East guys, or whether it's because they are an ever-present, for example. Certainly that's the direction I'm going with mine. Yeah, who's someone that you think might struggle a little bit this year? I guess you will be.
You know what? Again, this is going to pain me to say this. That's our go-to, right? But it's your Niners, man.
We are a real podcast of pain, Will Blackburn, and you have delivered a dagger to my heart.
It's the San Francisco 49ers. They keep saying they're a quarterback away. They're still Super Bowl contenders. I got them finishing dead last in the NFC West.
Are you serious?
Dead last in the NFC West. Yeah, I just feel like
behind the Arizona Cardinals, coached by a man-child who has no idea what he's doing, and an offense which is the blandest in the NFL. But it's exciting because it's got a great name.
Yes,
they are rubbish.
Coached by a teacher assistant. Yes,
Kyler Murray could be MVP this year, and the Cardinals still won't win more than 8 or 9 games.
All right, I'm just letting you know. I think the hype is too high. I just don't know.
I agree with you. The hype is too high in terms of like people sending us straight back to the Super Bowl after
Will,
a down year. That's mad.
Will, this is my assessment, Will. Okay, this is my assessment. You back away. All right. I know this is your team and this is personal for you, but I'm letting you know they could struggle. Could. The question is, could struggle. They could. They will.
They brought back, I think for me, they brought back a surprising number of the defensive starters, considering where they were contractually.
But again, the secondary is a huge issue.
See, the thing is, they brought back both starting safeties, which wasn't looking likely. Emmanuel Mosley was brilliant last year. Jason Verrett was surprisingly brilliant last year, considering the injury worries. He's clearly very talented.
Right.
I think as a 1-2 punch at linebacker, as good as most other teams in the league. And the pass rush looked really good last year. It's whether or not the scheme stays up to it, whether D'Amico Ryans can do it. The other corner is a problem and has consistently been. They're hoping that Ambry Thomas, the guy that they got in the 3rd round, is going to be a plug-and-play starter. But I don't know if you saw, they went out and got Josh Norman in the last couple of days. There's like a veteran presence there.
Right, so, which made me think like, okay, we were a little concerned with our depth, right? Yeah.
I think, from my perspective, a lot is going to be on how exciting the offense can be. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch this year. I'm not predicting them to go back to the Super Bowl. However, what I am predicting is for them to finish second in the NFC West.
Yeah.
The LA Rams winning it, the Cardinals finishing bottom,
They're not
and the
going to finish
team
ahead of the Seahawks.
who are going to struggle, despite most people thinking that they are a good team.
It's not Seattle.
Is the Seattle Seahawks.
It is not Seattle. There's no way. There's no way.
Well, this is my opinion. How this is also an annual tradition. I pick the Seahawks every year, and then Russell Wilson pulls something out of his backside, and we end up. They didn't look like a great team last year. Yet again, they didn't look like a great team last year, and that's been the case for most of the last 5 years. But between great quarterback play and somehow pulling something together on defense, every year they get to the playoffs and then they stumble. But I will say, I'm excited to see what Shane Waldron can do with Russell Wilson and whether we see a more imaginative scheme there, because what they do have is insane receiving talent. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf might be just ridiculously underrated when it comes to a 1-2 punch in the NFL.
Oh, there you go. Let's soften it up with some.
No, I like watching them. I'm one of those guys who I enjoy watching them. I just hate when they win. I'll still pick them in fantasy. I'm not like one of those guys. I have a friend who's like, the top Bears running back could fall to the 8th round for some bizarre reason, and Ollie Hunter won't pick him because he plays for the Bears.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not that guy, but I am not buying the Seahawks. I'm not.
Liam.
Will B's taken over.
He's just done with
and
it.
it's probably
for
the
the
best, to be honest. It's probably for the best.
Well, let's see how this one goes down. I'm going to go for the Steelers. 14 years of the Mike Tomlin era, they've never been below 500. I think that changes this year. They obviously started 11-0 last year, but then went 1-5 down the stretch, lost that.
Guys, we said who's going to struggle, not bold predictions. You guys are nuts.
Wow. Here we go. 1-5 down the stretch. Obviously lost to Cleveland in that home playoff game. I thought the offense towards the end of the season looked like it ran out of ideas. Big Ben looked his age. They couldn't get the running game going. You look at that offensive line, which was bad last year, and they've completely revamped that now. They've lost Villanueva, who's now at Baltimore. Marquise Pouncey retired. David DeCastro was released. Matt Filer's gone to the Chargers. They've lost an awful lot of pieces on that offensive line, and obviously drafted Najee Harris.
Right, they got one returning starter on the offensive
exactly.
line.
And you could look at it two ways. You could look at it and say, okay, it was bad last year. They were banged up. They were injured, so they needed to do something. But I just think you've lost an awful lot of veteran presence in that group, and I think it's going to be a big ask for them to kind of get that running game going. Wide receiver wise, Juju tested the free agent market. There wasn't really any interest in him. One of those three receivers, him, Johnson, or Chase Claypool, kind of needs to step up and be a true number one for that Big Ben offense to work. But the biggest thing for me, and this kind of gets forgotten about a little bit when people do predictions, is it's the strength of schedule. And I'm looking through at who Pittsburgh play. On the road this year, they face Buffalo, Green Bay, Cleveland, the Chargers, the Bengals, who they lost to last year when Ryan Finley was at quarterback, the Vikings, who Will likes, the Chiefs and the Ravens. I mean, they could easily lose 6 or 7 of those games. And, that easily puts you below 500 this year. I just think it's a really tough division. I like Cleveland. I like Baltimore. And I think that because they obviously won their division last year, they kind of face these tough teams like Kansas City and Buffalo on the road. And I just think it's really difficult for them to get back to 500 this year.
Should we start getting back on the same page a bit, or is this have we fallen out for good now, Will? Because what I will say is that I'm on this Seahawks bandwagon every year, and I keep failing on it. It's like people who keep predicting Tom Brady's going to fail. You've got to stop, and yet I can't stop myself, Will. I'm sorry. However,
you think Seahawks are going to struggle when they never struggle?
I have been on the,
and you think that
I've been on the
Steelers going to be under 500 when they have never been under 500 under Tomlin.
Correct.
I have been on the Tomlin bandwagon before, on the they're going to struggle bandwagon a few years ago. And
you guys think they're going to go from starting 11-0 and crumbling to going under 500?
Starting 11-0 and crumbling badly, though.
They did crumble
really badly.
Well, blame TikTok.
Yeah, but TikTok's not gone anywhere. It's still there. He's running across freight still. It's still happening.
I think there will be some growing pains for sure. If they can clean up the drops, that was a huge issue for them last year. And Juju needs to show up. But I just believe the defense will keep those games close, where they could probably win late and have some low-scoring games. The defense, just overall, I think they're just that good.
I mean, the TJ Watt thing's kind of been underreported as well, but he wants a new deal that hasn't been signed yet, and they famously don't negotiate during the season. So that's kind of hanging over them as well. I just think there's a real potential this year for them to have a slight dip. I don't expect them to be terrible, but I just think under 500 for the first time in the Tom Lanier was a real possibility this year.
And just coming back to the Seahawks one more time, when you're talking about contracts. They did manage to get Dwayne Brown signed. He was doing one of these new hold-ins that people have started doing, where they turn up and they kind of go to the weight room, so they're there and they're reporting, but they're not training properly. So there's another reason to be maybe positive about that rubbish football team. Let's talk about. I'm kidding. I'm not. Let's talk about breakout candidates for the 2021 season. Now, breakout wise, I kind of think we should swerve away from rookies. I think it's looking at the people who 2, 3, 4, even 4 years into their career and have a chance of suddenly turning up and putting in a maybe not all pro, but pro bowl.
Oh, we might agree on something here, Will. We might agree on something.
Well, let's find out. Will be, you go first.
My guy, Sam Darnold.
Ooh, okay.
Sorry, Leo.
It's okay.
Look, sometimes you just need a fresh start. You know, people look at Sam and they criticize his ability or whatever he did, but he was just in a place where it was a lose-lose situation. Sometimes the effect of an organization can affect the team, can affect everybody else. I've been in situations where everything was going well and the organization was going well. We had great GMs, great coaches, and it trickled down to the players. We had just good, positive energy everywhere. And I've been in situations where it wasn't like that, and it was really hard to play football. I just feel like this is really going to light a fire under Sam going to Carolina. You have Matt Rule, who's still a new coach trying to prove himself. You got a new OC and Joe Brady, who is trying to prove himself. You have a lot of hungry, inspired individuals over there who are all trying to prove themselves. And I think that is the perfect environment for Sam Darnold. And he's very cool. He's very relaxed, man. He's very excited about just being out of that situation in this new opportunity. I feel like this could be the year where it's like, damn, dude, okay, Sam has played himself into a contract situation.
They're playing the Jets this week, so he's absolutely going to go off for like 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. Robbie Anderson's going to have 400 yards.
That's going to be tough because here's the thing. Sometimes you have to look beyond the talent and see who's leading them, you know. I love Coach Robert Saleh. I was with him in Seattle and I was with him in Jacksonville, and we maintained a really good friendship. And the biggest thing for him is like putting guys in the right situation and getting the best out of people. So they're going to be super competitive. Will they win? Who knows? But they're going to be competitive.
I think it's a nice fixture first up for him in terms of, you know, you were talking there, Will, about the veteran presence that Minnesota have brought in the secondary. The Jets are really, really green at cornerback. Now, we saw how well Saleh did with the guys in San Francisco, but you've got a starting guy in Brandon Eccles, who's a rookie. Michael Carter's a rookie. He's going to play the corner slot. And then you've got, they released Bless Austin, and Bryce Hall's now on the other side, who's only starting his second year. That's a really green group of corners to kind of like expect to hold up. So I expect the Jets will have a few teething problems just while they kind of find things out. And I think it's a nice first game for Darnold to get going.
For me, to come to the Jets mention, I just think they've lost too much on defense over this preseason. I'm worried for Robert Saleh's first season there, and I'm a huge fan. Yeah, I don't know him personally like Will does, but I've had the joy of speaking to him a couple of times, and I couldn't speak more highly of him. But I think it's going to be a tough road this first year.
But as it should. Here's the thing for Liam and Jets fans: every organization, every good organization, it starts from the top, right? The foundation, I say, is upstairs, because usually in most buildings, the executive offices are upstairs, the GMs, owner, all that stuff. Joe Douglas has 3 Super Bowl rings, the new general manager. So he has seen what it looks like, you know, with the Ravens and the Eagles when they've won. And you bring in Saleh, who has seen, you know, what it looks like to get there. And they are slowly but surely just reconstructing this team for the long run. That's how I knew they were going to draft a quarterback, and move on from Sam, because when you get a young, talented QB like that, then guess what? The plan is now, okay, they're going to roll this year, see what happens. And the next year we're going to break the bank and just bring a bunch of talent in while we have him under his rookie deal. So my thing is, I'm just excited and very confident that, they're going to take care of this team. So yeah, this year will be interesting. Who knows? But they have the capital for next year.
Yeah, one quick point on the Jets. They projected to. We're almost talking about
the Gridiron Jets podcast
by this point. Yeah. They're projected to have the youngest starters on offense and defense of the entire league, just over 23, which just it goes to show you that there's going to be a lot of teething problems this year. And any Jets fan that thinks they're going to win 8 games, it's not going to happen. But you just want to see progress. You just want to see good stuff from your quarterback, good stuff from your new head coach, and I'd be happy with that this season.
Will G is picking Antonio Gibson of the Washington football team.
All right, Liam, who you got?
CeeDee Lamb. Both in the NFC East. There we go.
CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, I think he's going to have a monster year. Well, maybe. A lot of people predicted him, but I think he's going to have like a top 5 wide receiver year this year. I think he's going to put up. Yeah, I think they're going to be massive. I mean, he was playing really well with Dak before they got the injury in that rookie season, and everything you hear at camp is he's just been absolutely lights out this year, and I fully expect him to be.
I don't know. I feel like maybe Amari Cooper might feel somewhat slighted.
And Michael Gallup, of course.
I like Michael, but I think Amari at one point was like one of the dudes.
He's got his very specific role within the offense. He's that outside guy. He can stretch the field, and you need him in there, and he'll make some big plays. But I'm with you. CeeDee Lamb's, we do too many of these comparisons. But if someone's going to fill a Des Bryant role of just being the go-to guy over the middle, being the big-bodied guy, I like it.
He's not big body. CeeDee is tiny.
Is he tiny? I thought he was quite stocky, though.
No way.
I'm wrong then.
He actually needed to put on some muscles.
I'm wrong then. That's fine. I'm all right with it.
He's built like Luka Modric.
He is not built like Luka Modric.
This is all falling apart. I'm just going to justify my pick momentarily. I actually nearly had Washington as my dark horse team. Because the defense was already excellent last year, and I think it looks like it's going to be stronger going into this year. Their line is just insane, and Ryan Fitzpatrick just works for me in what their offense want to do. And I think that like Terry McLaurin could have been my pick. He's already a fantasy darling, and like football heads love him, but I think he could turn into like a proper number 1 receiver in terms of numbers. You got Curtis Samuel there, Adam Humphries. It's like a sneakily loaded offense. I think Washington's going to be really good this year.
So that's your Super Bowl pick. Washington
might
football
win the
team.
NFC East.
Washington football team, your Super Bowl pick.
Yeah.
You guys heard it first. Will G. I'm going to Twitter right now.
It'll be Washington. Against the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship. It's obviously not going to be that, but we should do our Super Bowl picks. So, boys, who we got? Liam, I'll come to you first.
I've already told you that the Rams, I think, are going to make it all the way there. I mean, it's hard to sort of pick anyone in the NFC outside of the Bucs based on the fact that they've brought everyone back. They should only be better in year 2 of Brady. But I just think that it's very, very difficult, and we'll be able to speak about this, to return as a Super Bowl champion. No one's done it since those 2003, 2004 Patriots. You have to have everything go right. Wow, that's a very good point. But, everyone needs to be healthy. Everything needs to go right for you. It's very difficult for that to happen 2 years in a row. And I really like Stafford in that offense. So I'm going to go Rams on that side. AFC-wise, there's a lot of teams I like, but I just think the Chiefs, having addressed their major need this offseason, which was the offensive line, completely revamping that. I'm going to be interested to see how they get on week 1 against Cleveland. You've got a good defense. You've got 3 rookies on that line now. But I think they've addressed their problem, and I expect the Chiefs to be back there again.
Very good.
3 in a row.
You know what, guys? I have a Super Bowl rematch. I got the Bucs and Chiefs again. The Bucs return everybody, and I saw something interesting. there was an interview with LaShawn McCoy, and he was saying that what Tom Brady, his greatest gift is that he makes everyone believe that they can win. Like he said, you can come in and be signed today, and then as soon as you meet Tom Brady, you automatically think you're going to go win the Super Bowl. And so not only do they bring back that team, but they're so close. The players and the staff and the whole organization is super close, and they're more mature, and they understand each other more. And they're getting back, O.J. Howard. They're getting back everyone that's healthy. I think a sleeper signing for them is Giovanni Bernard from the Bengals. I think he's going to do for the Bucs what James White did for him in New England, stuff like that. So I see the Bucs going right back, not even slowing down. I think they're going to mop Dallas in the game. And I do think the Chiefs are going to struggle. Actually, I have the Browns upsetting them in week 1. The Browns have not won an opener in like 16 years, but I do have the Browns upsetting them in week 1. But at the end of the day, you're going to get the Bucs, Chiefs, Bucs repeat.
There we go. Yeah. Skip forward to February. It's done.
Gee, I know. Will G got Washington football team and the Dolphins.
Blimey.
Super Bowl 7. Is that what it was? I think what it was. Man.
Wonderful.
So who's your AFC?
I'm not picking Washington for the Super Bowl.
No, you said the Bucs.
No, I didn't. I was talking about why I don't think the Bucs will go there. I just never got a chance to actually say it. I am taking a Green Bay Packers, Buffalo Bills Super Bowl. 2 teams we've not talked about once on the podcast yet, but I like them both a lot. Packers have been to the NFC Championship game the last 2 years. I think they finally get over the hump. And I think that Buffalo are just the most well-rounded team.
Their new defense gets them over the hump. Their new defense gets them done.
That's my concern.
The NFC is so much weaker than the AFC. I think that they can get out of there. They'll face the Seattle Seahawks in...
You said they're not going to the playoff.
Yeah, no, I know. But if you hedge your bets, then you end up looking right with something. I don't know. I'm going Packers Bills. There we go. People would have thought you were mad if you'd gone for Bucks last year. So I'm going out on that limb.
Do you think the Packers have addressed the problem, though? The reason why they haven't got their past 2 years defensively?
Not
I know
Joe
they've got
Barry.
a new coordinator in, but
I played for Joe Barry.
Oh yeah.
Would you like to give us some insight?
No.
Now I don't feel so confident about him. Wow. Okay.
So I'm going to just deal with your pick.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it.
You made it. You made the pick now, and then the next episode, I will give you my assessment of Joe Barry.
Oh, nice. Okay. Good tease. Before we wrap up, because this has been much more of a season preview, what specifically are you looking forward to seeing in week 1? Pick me a game, pick me a team, pick me a player. Just what is going to have you absolutely locked on this weekend to see how they do?
Yeah,
good or
I
bad?
previewed it a little bit with. I'm excited to see the Browns. On paper, they're just, I think, ridiculous all across the board, and so I'm excited to see what the Browns do.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about Jets Panthers, obviously watching. Browns Chiefs, I'm really excited. Dolphins Patriots, I think 2 former Alabama quarterbacks, Tua and Mac Jones. I'm excited to see what Josh McDaniels does with Mac Jones in that offense. Tua needs a really key first few weeks in terms of those Deshaun Watson trade rumors have kind of died down. But, if they don't start winning games early on, I can see that kind of escalating again. And, Flores versus Belichick, 2 absolute masters of their craft. I'm excited to see what those guys come up with coming off a long off season. So that should be a good game as well.
I am looking forward to seeing the San Francisco. No, I'm kidding. Actually, the Niners couldn't have much of a better team than getting to play a decimated Lions side if they have got to go on the road week 1. It's a really boring one to pick. In fact, no, it's a frustrating one because Sunday Night Football, I'm really excited to see the Los Angeles Rams. I'm really excited to see what they do with Matt Stafford. I'm really excited to see what that team looks like. I really wish they were playing with Justin Fields on the other side of the ball. I don't understand why Chicago are faffing around. We all know Andy Dalton's not the answer.
Well, we'll talk about that on the next episode. What happened in that game?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm, Sunday Night Football is going to be one of those that I definitely stay up for this week. In my new job where I do have to wear blazers, I can't stay up for every game this season, which I've done the last few years, which is a little bit devastating. But I am going to try and watch at least the first half tonight. So we will report back on the Gridiron socials, at Gridiron on Twitter, at UK Gridiron on Instagram. Will, where will people see you this weekend? Obviously on Sky on Sunday night.
On Sky, yes, you will see me there on Sky. Also, follow me at Will Blackman. And I have a new show coming out today called Upsets and Underdogs. You can find it on all streaming podcast services. That's my new announcement. I signed a deal with the Wynn Hotel in Vegas and Blue Wire Pod. So, yeah.
Doing a little sportsbook podcast.
A little sports betting. You know what I mean?
What will I get on the Seahawks not making the playoffs? Then?
And
at that point, we're gonna we will leave it there. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Really good fun. Hopefully, you guys are happy to see the return. Check out the Gridiron season preview if you've not got it. It's not just applicable to week one, and it's another brilliant one as always. It's well worth noting as well. Yeah, lovely, beautifully displayed in the background if you're watching the video version. They're tiny sat on Liam's hand, but I promise they're not that small in real life.
I'm just massive.
And whilst he's off this week because it's his birthday, Ollie Hunter will be returning this year as well. So you think my picks are irreverent and nonsense, Will Blackman? Just wait until you hear that much smaller ginger man make his choices. Thank you so much for listening and watching. This has been The Gridiron Show. How's the second preseason in Indianapolis going for you?
It's been pretty good. Yeah, being able to actually have preseason games this year, you know what I mean? It's been very vital and crucial for the team. So it's been a good camp.
I guess that's weird for you personally because I said second, but it's kind of almost like your first with the way you came in last year.
Yeah, definitely. Like last year we did more, team scrimmages in the stadium to make it kind of game-like, and it still wasn't the same, But being able to have, I only got 3 reps, in the second preseason game, but I mean, just being able to get into the game flow, you know what I mean, and being out there and feeling the game pace again, you know what I mean? I'm going into my 6th year, but when you haven't been out there in a couple months, you definitely got to get used to that game pace again. So it's been nice.
I have to say, I'm not just saying this because you're here, but you made it look, that transition to a new team looked pretty easy last year, considering that, you were first time at a new team since coming in as a rookie in San Francisco, with everything that happened with COVID, with no preseason. How on earth did you manage to make that transition?
Yeah, I put in a lot of work in the off season. After making, after getting that big contract and, getting traded to a new team, I mean, I felt like a rookie all over again. One, being on a new team, having to prove myself, to my teammates, the organization. And also I wanted to, I wanted to make sure that the organization knew what they invested in. You know what I mean? I wanted, they believed in me, by paying me and bringing me here. And I just wanted to give them everything I have. And, that's year in and year out. And, I wanted to make sure that, they knew that it wasn't a mistake.
And I know we're going kind of a little bit career retrospective here, but most players that get traded, it's either because they're unhappy where they are, or maybe they're a veteran in a struggling team moving to a contender. But, you went from a Super Bowl squad to being traded. How was that for you? Was it a shock when you kind of found out that was what was going to be going down?
Yeah, I mean, with everything, I mean, I invested a lot of myself into, the Niner organization. And, you know what I mean? It just came to a point where, I mean, the business side of things just didn't add up, for both sides. And we had to part ways, unfortunately. And at the time, I was really focusing on my, my family, my son. My wife was pregnant with our son, our firstborn. And, I was looking at, the long term, you know what I mean, in everything. And, ultimately the beneficial thing for my family and myself was, to, build our family out here in Indianapolis. And I mean, that's what happened. And honestly, I'm very happy with how everything turned out. I mean, I love this organization. It's definitely a first-class organization, the culture from top to bottom. is amazing. So I'm very happy.
Tell me a little bit about Coach Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, Flus is, he's a great defensive coordinator, great person too. And also, I mean, just like he demands a lot, to play in this defense. It's all about effort. We track loafs, when you're running to the ball, if guys aren't running to the ball. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a special, player, on all phases, on all three phases of the defense to really play in this defense. And, he really preaches on it. He believes in it, and I believe in it. And that's another reason why I was happy to come here, because, the type of ball that they play is my style of ball. It's, every play, you're giving it all, every play you have, the effort, the accountability, to hold each other accountable by tracking guys that aren't, running to the ball, or just the little things. That's what I love about his coaching style. And, he's always trying to put his players in position to win.
DeForest, really appreciate your time, really do. And I'm going to be rooting for you all year, except when you play your former team, because I have to be honest about you.
Oh, man. I appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
No, you're a great man. Thank you so much, and have a good season, sir.
Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.